The world thinks they know my story. But today, the truth will shake the sky. When I walked into the spotlight, the cameras trembled, as if they knew something extraordinary was about to unfold. The media stared with hungry eyes, searching for hints, clues, whispers, but even their sharpest questions could not touch the truth. Sleeping quietly inside my heart, I carried your name, like a flame hidden behind my smile. Calm, steady, dangerous, ready to ignite the world. When the moment chose its time, they asked me who she is, the woman who holds my heartbeat, as if it were a secret crown, the one whose presence turns my silence into poetry. But how could I reveal you to a world that has never seen a love written so fiercely into the bones of destiny? The answer lived in my chest, pressed against my ribs, waiting, glowing, refusing to fade. Every camera flashed, every microphone leaned in, every heartbeat in that room synchronized with the rising truth. I felt the weight of your name moving through my veins, like a promise preparing to speak. And in that breathless moment, between the world's curiosity and the storm of my confession, I knew, once I said your name aloud, nothing would ever be the same again. Because you are not just the woman I love. You are the one destiny wrote for me, in a script even time cannot rewrite. And when the world finally hears, their shock will echo across every headline, every screen, every whisper. For love like ours does not enter quietly. It arrives with thunder and leaves history trembling. The moment I stood before them, the air shifted, like the universe itself leaned closer to witness the truth I had carried in silence for so long. Journalists waited with sharpened curiosity, their pens hungry, their lenses blinking like restless eyes, trying to read the truth hidden beneath the steady calm of my breath. But they didn't know that the earthquake they were waiting for was not in my words. It was in your name. They asked again, pressing their questions against the edges of my patience. Who is she? Where is she from? How did she win your heart? But how could they understand that you did not win my heart? You awakened it. That before you, my days were polished mirrors, with no reflection inside. And after you, every heartbeat became a message, written in fire. I remembered your laugh, the one that bends the sky into softer shapes, the one that touches places inside me that the world has never seen. I remembered your silence, the kind that speaks with more truth than the loudest storms. And I remembered the moment your soul brushed against mine for the first time, that instant recognition, that ancient familiarity, that feeling of, I've known you before life knew itself. How could I explain that? How could I fit a love so infinite into sentences meant for headlines? How could I let them judge a bond stitched by destiny when destiny needs no audience? But I also knew the world would learn your name, not because they deserve to, but because you deserve to be seen as the queen my heart bows to. So I stood there, steady, unshaken, carrying your presence like a crown carved from truth. And I waited for the perfect moment, the kind of moment that changes stories, rewrites belief, and turns silence into history. The media leaned forward, their breath caught in suspense, unaware that the answer they were starving for was already glowing behind my eyes. Because the woman I'm marrying is not just a name. She is a destiny, a promise, a revelation. And when I speak her into existence, the world will understand why even fate steps aside for hour. The room felt smaller as the truth grew larger inside me. stretching through my chest, like light fighting its way through a tightly closed door. They thought they were watching a press conference, but they were witnessing a confession the universe had waited years to hear. Every heartbeat echoed louder than their questions, and every breath I took carried the weight of the revelation that would change everything. They wanted a name, just a name. But how do you give them a name when what you hold is not a person, but a destiny, a miracle wrapped in a heartbeat, a future wearing the soft shape of love? How do you explain that you didn't choose her? Your soul recognized her, like a traveler recognizing home. After a lifetime of wandering, your presence rose in my memory, like sunrise over a quiet city, unstoppable, gentle, and filled with meaning, too deep for words. I remembered the softness you carry, even when the world feels heavy, the strength you hide behind the kindness of your eyes, the sincerity in your voice. When you speak truths that touch places in me I didn't know existed. I remembered the first time you stood close enough for our shadows to touch. The air changed, not dramatically, but deeply, like two stories finally finding the same page. I knew then that the world would someday ask, why you? And my answer would never be enough. Because you are not chosen. You are meant. You are not discovered. You are recognized. You are not loved. You are lived. So when they pushed again, their voices sharper, their curiosity louder, their eyes greedy for truth, I felt your name tremble against the edge of my tongue, not with fear, but with power. The kind of power that rewrites narratives and humbles doubters. The kind of power that reminds the world that love is not a headline. It is a revolution. If only they knew that the woman I'm marrying is the one the universe whispered about in my quietest prayers, the one my destiny drew toward me with invisible threads, long before time learned our names, the one whose presence turns moments into meaning and silence into certainty. I stood there with all their questions falling around me like rain, and your truth rising inside me like thunder. I knew that once your name left my lips, the entire world would feel the tremor, not because they care, but because fate does not hide when it decides to speak. The silence in the room thickened, stretching over every corner, like a curtain waiting to fall. Every reporter, every camera, every bright, burning spotlight, all of them leaned forward, as if the universe itself had paused time to hear the truth rising inside me. They thought I was nervous, but they didn't understand. This wasn't fear. This was destiny preparing to step into the light. Your face appeared in my thoughts with the softness that always disarms the storms in me. Your eyes, steady, honest, brave, held every truth I was about to reveal. Your heartbeat echoed in mine, not as a memory, but as a presence, reminding me that some loves are too powerful to hide, too sacred to whisper, too destined to remain in shadows. They wanted details, stories, angles, anything that would feed their headlines. But your story is not ink. Your story is fire, and fire cannot be printed. It must be witnessed. How could they capture the way you walk into a room, and the air rearranges itself to fit your presence? How could they understand that your silence carries more truth than their loudest questions? I remembered the way you look at me, not like the world looks, but like you see the parts of me I never show anyone. Like you understand the heaviness I hide beneath the calm on my face. Like you recognize The man behind the fame. The heart behind the headlines. The soul behind the spotlight. And that is why I chose you. Not because of beauty, though you carry more than enough. Not because of perfection, because perfection is too shallow, but because your soul speaks to mine with a fluency the world cannot translate. As they circled around me with their questions, your presence wrapped around my thoughts like a warm truth, refusing to be silenced. I knew the world was waiting for a name, but what I held was not just a name. It was a future, a promise, a heartbeat intertwined with mine. So I breathed deeply, feeling every memory of you rise inside me like a tidal wave of certainty. The cameras blinked faster, the room leaned closer, and the world stood still, waiting for the revelation that would change everything. Because when I finally reveal you, the media will not just be shocked, they will be humbled by the magnitude of a love they never saw coming. The moment stretched, long and electric, as if the world stopped breathing, just to hear the truth rising inside me. Every flash of every camera felt like lightning, searching for the storm hidden in my silence. They thought I was hesitating, but they didn't know I was remembering you. Your warmth, your certainty, your quiet way of turning chaos into something calm enough to hold. I stood there, shoulders steady, heart steady only because it beats in the rhythm. Your name taught it. Your laughter echoed in my memory, soft enough to soothe, loud enough to guide, reminding me why this moment was not a performance. It was a promise I made the day I first saw the truth in your eyes and felt myself belong in a way I never had before. They kept asking, their voices sharp, their questions endless, but your presence inside me softened every edge. How do I explain to them that choosing you was never a decision? It was recognition, like the soul finally meeting the echo it has searched for, across years, across wounds, across quiet nights, when the world felt too loud, and you felt like the only calm I could trust. Your name haunted my breath, in the gentlest way, like a melody that refuses to fade, like a whisper, carrying whole universes in just a few letters. I remembered the way your hand tightened around mine, the night you told me, whatever happens, don't let the world change us. And I swore silently that I wouldn't. Not fame, not pressure, not the noise of 1,000 headlines. Nothing would change what we are. As I looked at the crowd, I felt the distance between their curiosity and my truth. They wanted a story. I wanted a lifetime. They wanted a breaking news moment. I wanted a forever that wouldn't break. So I stood taller, let the weight of your love settle into my shoulders, and prepared to speak in a voice shaped by certainty. I wasn't just about to reveal who I was marrying. I was about to show the world the kind of love that doesn't ask for permission to exist. The kind of love that arrives quietly, but changes everything loudly. Because when your name leaves my lips, the media will not simply react. They will crumble under the truth that some destinies don't belong to their questions. Some destinies belong only to the two hearts brave enough to choose each other. The lights above me blazed brighter, as if trying to expose the secret I carried so carefully in my chest. But secrets born from love don't fear the light. They simply wait for the right moment to rise like dawn over a world that never expected their beauty. And you You were always that dawn. Soft, certain, unstoppable. The room was tense, alive with impatient breaths. But my heart felt calm, because it was beating, in quiet conversation, with yours. Every memory of you moved inside me, like a tide, steady, pulling, inevitable. I didn't need the noise of the room to remind me who I was. You had already done that. With your trust, your stillness, your fearlessness, in loving me, even when the world became too loud. They expected me to announce a name, with shock, with drama, with flair. But love like ours doesn't need theatrics. It needs truth, raw and real, delivered the way a heartbeat speaks, when the body is silent. Your love has always been the quiet truth that steadied my storms. And now the world was seconds away from witnessing that truth unfold into destiny. I thought about the way you look at me when the world isn't watching. Eyes soft, smile barely forming, like you're holding a secret, even you don't want to reveal too soon. How do I explain to them that this moment isn't about fame, or headlines, or the noise of curiosity? It's about you, and the sacredness of choosing a soul that feels like home. You don't fit the mold the media created for me, and that's exactly why. You fit me perfectly. You don't chase attention. You don't crave spotlight. You don't bend for expectations. You just are. Unapologetically, beautifully, fearlessly, yourself. And being with you feels like standing on ground that will never collapse beneath me. As I met the eyes of the reporters surrounding me, I felt a strange kind of peace, as if the moment was no longer theirs to control. The truth belonged to me. And you, only you. Their whispers, their guesses, their assumptions, none of them mattered. The world thought it was ready for the revelation, but they had no idea how powerful a simple truth could be when spoken with love. So I inhaled slowly, let your presence settle into every part of me, and prepared myself to step into the future we had already chosen, long before this room, long before this moment, long before the world ever knew what was coming. Because when I speak your name, the earth beneath this room will shift, quietly, softly, but permanently. The weight of the moment pressed against me, not as fear, but as a reminder that some truths are too powerful to be spoken casually. And your truth, our truth, was one of them. The world around me buzzed, hungry for a revelation, but all I could feel was the warmth of your presence, settling over my thoughts, like a hand on my shoulder, steadying me, guiding me, reminding me that what I was about to say was not for them. It was for us. I could hear my heart echoing in my chest, each beat shaped by your name. It wasn't nervousness. It was recognition. Recognition of the destiny I was finally ready to announce. They thought the spotlight shaped me, but they didn't realize that it was your love that taught me how to stand tall when the world watched. Your smile flickered in my memory. That soft, quiet smile you give only when you feel safe. The smile that told me, long before I ever admitted it aloud, that you were the future I didn't even know I was searching for. I felt the echo of your voice, the gentleness in it, the certainty hidden in its softness. And suddenly the noise in the room began to fade, dimming into a distant blur that couldn't touch the truth rising inside me. They wanted a shock. They wanted a twist. They wanted a story that would explode across headlines. But our story isn't a scandal, isn't chaos, isn't noise. Our story is a heartbeat. Steady, loyal, timeless. A quiet promise that grew louder every time you looked at me, like you already knew I belonged beside you. I remembered the nights when I doubted myself, when the world felt too heavy, when the noise became unbearable, and you, with nothing but your presence, silenced everything that tried to break me. Your love was never loud, never demanding, never showy. It was calm. It was patient. It was a lighthouse in a storm I didn't realize I was drowning in. How do I explain to them that I'm not choosing you today? I chose you the very first moment your eyes met mine, and the world around me softened into something I could finally breathe in. How do I tell them that the reason my voice trembles gently is because the truth I'm about to speak is not just an announcement. It's a vow. The cameras kept flashing, as if trying to capture the truth before I said it. But some truths don't belong to flashes. They belong to futures. And you, my choice, my calm, my certainty, you are the future, waiting just beyond this moment. So I lifted my gaze, let the silence stretch, and prepared myself for the final step toward the life we've already been building, in silence, in trust, in love, because the world may think this is a revelation, but for us, this is simply destiny, finally spoken aloud. The room fell into a stillness so deep that even the air seemed to wait for the truth rising in my chest. Every heartbeat, every memory, every silent promise we ever shared gathered inside me, like a tide preparing to break. The world watched, leaning forward, anticipating a name, expecting a headline, hungry for a moment they believed belonged to them. But this moment, this truth, this destiny, belonged only to us. Your presence wrapped around my thoughts, like the soft echo of a future already written. I could feel you, not beside me, but within me, the way love settles quietly into the chambers of the heart, until it becomes the only rhythm the soul knows how to follow. You were the calm in my breath, the warmth in my voice, the steady courage in my silence. And slowly, the noise of the world faded into something distant, something small, something powerless. Because standing there, under lights that tried to expose everything, I realized they could reveal my face, but only I could reveal my truth. And my truth was you. I remembered the way you whispered, half laughing, half shy. You won't really say it in front of everyone, right? But you didn't know how powerful your place in my heart had become. You didn't know that every step I take, every dream I chase, every breath I hold, before speaking, carries your name somewhere within it. You didn't know that loving you had quietly become the most fearless thing I had ever done. So I inhaled, felt the moment settle into me, and lifted my eyes toward the sea of faces, waiting for a revelation that would change their world. Without knowing, it had already changed mine. Your name rested on my tongue, like a truth too precious to be rushed, and when I finally spoke it, I knew the earth beneath us shifted, not loudly, not violently, but with a gentle certainty of destiny unfolding. The room gasped, the cameras froze, the media broke its own silence, shocked, startled, unable to believe that the woman I chose was not the one they predicted, Not the one they speculated about, but the one my soul recognized. And I looked at them, steady and unshaken, because this moment wasn't for them, and never would be. This moment was a vow, soft but unbreakable, that I would choose you. In every lifetime, in every world, in every destiny, that ever dares to write our names. As the room erupted, with disbelief and questions, I felt nothing but peace, because the truth was out. The world finally knew, and destiny had been spoken. With a heart full of certainty, you were the revelation. You were the future. You were the choice. I was proud enough to announce to the world, without fear, without hesitation, without regret. And now, let the world say what it wants. Let the headlines twist. Let the voices argue. Let the shockwaves spread. Because the truth we share is stronger than their noise. You are my tomorrow, my promise, my unshaken forever. And today, I gave the world the one truth that will never change. I am marrying the woman my heart bowed to, long before the world ever knew her name. If you're reading this far, comment, forever written, so I'll know you felt every word.